All right, I'd like to keep on time, so I would like to thank everyone for joining us tonight and welcome everybody to our third Allies for Change conversation. We are so excited that everyone is here with us tonight. Our topic is Women Empowering Women Through Volunteerism. This month, we recognize our volunteers, and next week actually is the National Volunteer Recognition Week. And we really just wanted to take an opportunity to reflect on the many women and men who help our organization and other organizations. There tend to be those people who are just volunteers, and you see the same faces from one organization to another. There's always the same group of people that seem to step up and step forward. And, you know, we wanted to kind of reflect on why and how important it is and how much that impetus has helped our organization. So tonight we have a really exciting panel. I am so honored to be working alongside Caroline Sayin, who is a co-founder at Art Market Mentors. But more importantly, she is our new board president of Dress for Success and is an amazing partner and is mentoring me every day so that I can become a better leader. And so I'm grateful to have Caroline with us. We also have Deneen Bennett, who is the Vice President of Human Resources, Talent Management, and Organizational Development at the Oakview Group. She is also a former Dress for Success board member. And lastly, I have Mecca Adams with us, who's a Scrum Master and Agile Coach for UPS. But Mecca, I don't know where to begin with Mecca. She is our new Dress for Success Professional Women's Group Facilitator. So congratulations and thank you for that. But Mecca, we were talking earlier, she is a volunteer that if our organization needs anything, we know who to call. We pick up the phone and she's there. So I'm excited to invite all, everyone to welcome them tonight. And I'm going to jump right into it. So I would like to start with Caroline and ask how you began your journey to volunteer, and also what inspires you to serve when you serve, whether it's our group or other groups. So it's on you now, Caroline.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everybody. And thank you for coming. This is exciting. I would say that community service and giving back to the community was something within my family from childhood. My father, who was a lawyer, did this constantly and was an active advocate for multiple groups since I was young. And I remember going with him to a variety of organizations, sitting in the corner as he sat on the board and was giving constantly back. So it was something that was constant in our family. And I did it throughout my childhood. I was actually awarded, when I graduated high school and college, community service because I always seeked it out. I think it's interesting, though, that once I hit as a woman, my early careers, and I married, I had 3 kids very quickly, that it became more of a challenge. And that your time as a woman in particular is pulled in multiple areas. And whether it be your career, your family, your marriage, your parents. And I felt very sad because I wasn't able to do as much as I had done when I was younger. I actually turned inward to my company and I launched our Women's Leadership Network when I was a young mother there, and I ran it for 15 years until I left recently. And then actually coming out of that, I wanted to give back to the community at this point. And I looked out to the community. I found Dress for Success again, which I had been active with in the 90s. And it was a wonderful connecting line with what I believed in personally, what I had advocated within my company around women's empowerment and leadership. And so I love that connectivity. But it is a struggle, and I think it is a inherent in women for the good that we love to give back. and that we want to. And it is a critical component, I think, of all, and we're all here today because it's what we feel creates a healthy, happy life. But it's not always the easiest, and it's not always at our disposal right when we want it. I do think the pandemic, and I've loved joining Dress for Success. I've loved working with everybody on this call. Kim and Willa have been one of the greatest gifts that I have gotten during this process. And I think it's a constant kind of journey for all of us to find that right fit for you when and where you can give back. And I won't keep the mic any more of that, but I think it is for women a constant. It's something that we love and want to do, and is trying to find the right fit. And I'm glad I found it.
Thank you. I think, do you want to go, Mecca? Would you like to follow up
Sure.
on that and see what aspect of volunteer experience you've really enjoyed?
So it was hard to narrow it to one. So I have two.
Okay.
The first one was meeting so many other delegates from Dress for Success affiliates in 2019 when we had the Women's Leadership Summit for the Community Action Project. It was amazing. There were about 100 affiliates represented on that cruise to the Bahamas. I had to throw that in there as a plug. It was great. The other part of that was coming out of the Community Action Project, seeing what the women were able to accomplish and were confident to accomplish. So we have women who are now confident in working on improving their credit scores. We have women who were confident in calling up their student loan services and saying to them, I know that my loan was mismanaged, and getting those things corrected. And the other one that I'm so happy about is to be able to announce that there are women who are on their way to home ownership, and one who is very close if she hasn't signed on that dotted line. So I am really, really proud about that.
That's excellent. Thank you. So for those of you who are not familiar with what the Community Action Plan is and Community Action Project, Dress for Success worldwide gives each affiliate an opportunity to select someone from its sisterhood to send on our behalf to do a community action project. And so they get to go, and that's what Mecca was referring to, where she met some other affiliates and then decided what she wanted to do in the community to support us. And she did it. And she delivered and gave our community, and it was not just the Dress for Success community, it was a community at large. And it was a really strong and wonderful program. And so that's what she's talking about. And I can't thank you enough for doing that for us. That was phenomenal.
Thank you. And just another plug, I came in 5th out of 100 people. So
that's right. We knew who to pick.
Right. Speaking of we know who to pick, Deneen.
Yeah.
You there with us?
Yes, I am.
All right. Deneen has been a volunteer with me in the STEPS program as well. She came in and said, what do you need? And she's always been there. And we're going to tag team next week with this next cohort. But I really like to know from you, Deneen, tell us about your journey and what inspires you to serve. And I know because you're on Daisy, you've done Dress for Success. What? It's because you love us? What?
That's a really interesting question. I mean, I started out as a Girl Scout, and somewhere behind me, I still have my sash on my shelf. And that's where I really first learned the value of giving back. And so whether it was with Dress for Success or Daisy, which is the domestic violence and sexual assault awareness organization based in Sussex County, New Jersey, or whether it was Minds Matters in New York City, which gets first generation kids of color into college. All of these organizations, nonprofits in general, just fill that gap in our society that government, state, business is not addressing. And I think that's where the opportunity is, and that's where the need is. And I believe in, finding that need and filling it, fixing it, or, finding the people who can do it. And quite honestly and transparently, what drew me to Dress for Success was I spent a large part of my career in luxury retail. And so I committed to myself that every time I brought in a new outfit, I had to get rid of one. And so I needed to find some place to take them. And so I refused to take them to those bins in the back of the ShopRite. And I said, well, what better place than Dress for Success? So it was a self-serving initiative to help clean out my closet. And then I got hooked.
We're glad you got hooked. You've been such a wonderful ally to us. I know if we ever need a referral or recommendation, you're always there to connect us with somebody. And that's one of the great skills that you have, and being able to see who we should be connected to and how we can better serve our women. So I thank you for that. With all of your volunteering, what do you think might be the most challenging part of it? You've been, and because you volunteer, you work with the Daisy, you work with Taproot, you work with us. What do you think is probably the most challenging?
Yeah, it's interesting. Shalonda Rhimes, who, is like a dynamic director, wrote a book about a year of saying yes. And for me, I think the most challenging thing when it comes to doing work, really good work in a volunteer space, is having a powerful no, because there's so much that needs to be done. And while your heart may want to do everything, you have to be realistic about your life and how much time and your commitment and all of that. And so I think the biggest challenge is really being focused, really following where your passion is, not spreading yourself too thinly, and just go deep and not wide, and recognizing that sometimes you just have to say no. And I think that's a skill that women just don't have mastered.
I agree.
Yeah.
I have to compliment Danina on that, because I think that is a critical point, because women are multitaskers. We're great at doing a lot of stuff, and we do need to learn how to say no, and we do need to focus. And I think it's a powerful message for all of us, because that's what we're trying to do with the organization right now. It's just really focus on where's the biggest impact and how can we focus all of our attention. It's great.
Yeah.
I think to your point, Caroline, and that brings me to my question about the next generation of volunteers, because nonprofits have short staffs. Lorraine and Kim do a phenomenal job, and the volunteers are what kind of keep the engine going for them. There's this term called skill-based volunteering. What are the skills that volunteers should have? What should they be bringing to the table besides love and passion?
It's a great question, Willa. I think there are a couple of things that pop to my mind. One is, I shared with you my frustration of wanting to volunteer for years but not having time. I commuted an hour and a half. I had limited time. I think after the pandemic, we are going to have and I know our organization will have a lot of virtual options, which is very appealing to our volunteers. I think secondly, I don't know if it's skills, but maybe experience or sharing. Women, in my personal experience, need, and should talk about their life experiences together, and that we learn and grow together that way, because we have these aha moments when we're in a room talking about maybe a situation or a topic. And Willa and Kim, you and I have been in those rooms where people are like, oh wait, that wasn't just me. or I didn't just feel that. And it might be unconscious bias. It might be a variety of things, but women go through a very big scope during their careers, whether it be family, raising kids, having kids, the life space. And the work world isn't built for that. It was built for men. And that's just a fact. And even though we've been in there for a while, we still aren't represented well. Like, it's less than 20% in executive levels. It's less than 20% at board levels. So we're still struggling at the decision-making level to have considerations around us. And I think, to your point, Willa, I think the volunteer of the future, part of it is just show up. Like, the professional women's group is an amazing base that we have. And I've been joining in when I can. And the conversations, and the more people you can have in that room, whether it be salary negotiations, whether it be learning about a woman, like a spotlight on a woman, it is amazing because it empowers all of us and we share. And I think I think there's digital, there's even, basic things that our younger volunteers could share. It's like reverse mentoring now. Like, just being able to come in and maybe pair somebody who doesn't, it's not email, but LinkedIn and all the social media and all those components. Will is laughing, but like I have my 60-year-old come in, I'm like, dude, fix this. But but those are the things that we can do to each other, where it's not a judgment zone. It is really an empowerment zone. So I think skills-based, I wish I had a perfect plan. I don't know what that is. I don't think any of us does. And Lily, you just posted a great article from McKinsey, which is saying that the skill base, we're going to have to change dramatically. And particularly women, where we've been in certain industries, are going to be dramatically changed and reducing workforces. And we need to move forward. And it's like STEM, it's financials, it's getting comfortable and saying, like, women are good at these things. And I don't know who told us we weren't, but let's get them ready. And Mecca and I are even talking about that for financial literacy. Let's empower these people. And so I don't have a perfect answer to that, but I think it's, one, is coming together. We love to talk, sharing our stories. Two, it's like, don't be afraid, and we can tackle anything. And third is like financial literacy, tech, STEM is really got to be our focus for the future. That would be mine.
Okay, thank you for that.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Thank you. So thinking of all of that, I think a lot of why and how these conversations that we're having got started was that Willa and I realized where there were some gaps in our understanding of each other, of the women that we serve, what services we provide, and just creating a safe space where we can talk to each other, and having this format where you can talk in a comfortable, safe space to share ideas and so forth. The other half of this was talking about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Deneen, I know you've done some work in that area, but I wanted to ask why it's important for our volunteers to be aware of the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and what you can learn from that when you're looking to volunteer, and just the awareness of it.
Yeah, I think the one overarching reason that volunteers need to be aware of diversity, equity, and inclusion is because a nonprofit that's run well mirrors a for-profit company, and diversity, you're going to find diversity in for-profit companies. And the other thing is, a lot of volunteers come to nonprofits in order to beef up their skills, close gaps on their resumes, you know, develop connections, and all of that experience. You have to have an understanding of diversity, equity, inclusion. You have to understand that there are challenges in the world, whether you're a woman, to Caroline's point, and you're trying to climb the corporate social ladder, or whether you're a woman of color. And, you know, I won't even go into the statistics around the pay gaps between, you know, white men, white women, Black women, etc. You know, we have to navigate a world, and we have to get away from that concept of, I'm just going to be a good worker. It's an even playing field. You know, I don't see color. All of that is crap, you know? So you have to be able to have an, I'm sorry, I'm from Brooklyn. I'll say things
It's
like
okay.
that.
We'll bleep that out.
But, you know, you have to be aware of that. And I think that when you come to a mission-driven environment that has a passion connected to it, that's where honest, heartfelt conversations can start. And having the opportunity to develop skills around those honest conversations, around diversity, equity, inclusion, around learning something, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable, that is a skill set that not everybody has the luxury of either building or using in a corporate environment. So it's got to start somewhere, and it might as well start where there's a passion and a care and a connection to the mission we're serving.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that we talk about is the value of one, right? That one person and the power of many together, and how that can make that change. And being in a nonprofit environment gives you that luxury, right? To do that. But now, what is the strategy though to really get the diversity that you need within the volunteers of your organization? How do you navigate that, Caroline? I'm gonna turn it to you. How do you navigate in trying to build a volunteer platform that reflects the community that you serve?
I think it's incredibly important, and we've talked about it constantly, in that you need a volunteer base, a board base that is reflecting our community. And it's a challenge because you want it to be meaningful, you want it to be sincere. And I think we're working towards that every day. I think that I've been here, it's been 90 days last week.
Oh, congratulations. You're still here. That's good.
He's still here.
I'm still here. I'm trying.
Caroline, I used to do that to Kim every week. I talked to her in the beginning. I said, oh, great, you're still here.
I think what I've done though is I've had almost 40 conversations with our board, our clients, our teams, our program directors. I've sat in on almost every program that we've had in the last 90 days to really understand and absorb where we're going. And it's been an incredible experience, and I've enjoyed it. And I think we have some bedrock that is amazing, starting with you, starting with Mecca, Jean's on here. We also have, you know, Kim and her team. And I think but we always have to challenge ourselves, right? And we always have to say, as Deneen says, like, are we doing our best? Are we representing people? Are we being true to ourselves? And I think that's everybody. I think that's every organization right now. You know, I think in particular women, and I've had some uncomfortable conversations with friends around that, which is, you know, women want to have a bigger space. You know, Black and brown communities want to have a bigger space, and it's not about taking anything away from anybody. It's just saying we need more seats at this table. And maybe the table doesn't fit everybody that it used to, and then you need to kind of make that space. And and we are committed as a group to do that. And I'm excited to do that because it's such an incredible time, and it's needed right now. And so, Willa, I'm not answering specifically your question because I don't have a perfect point. I would say anybody on this call today, we're looking for volunteer leaders, and we have some wonderful opportunities to do that. We are open, and we are redefining what our board looks like, what our team looks like, and diversity inclusion is top of all of our minds. Because if you don't have, I think the best example is this. I once had a coach, and I was being coached, and my boss had said to me, I had gotten feedback that my voice wasn't being heard. So I went back to, I had a coach, I was given all this stuff, and I did all this stuff, and I did everything the coach told me to do. And then I come back and I said, oh, but my boss still says you're getting better, but you're not quite there, or I don't quite hear your voice. And after 6 months, I think, my coach said to me, well, who's at that table? And I said, oh, and I described the table. And no offense to anybody on this call, but I think it's all women. It was all white men. So she said, well, you might be doing all this work and you might be trying all these things, but if you're talking to a table that's not interested or isn't open to your voice or isn't understanding that you need to be heard, then you're doing useless work. And so that's what I would say. We are not going to do useless work. We are building a table that's open to diverse voices, that are going to have diverse voices at that table, and that we are working together to do that. Because one person can't change that table. The table has to change. So is that good for you, Willa?
Well, you know what? I'd rather hear you have a plan and that you're working towards a plan, because I think that's how it starts, right? You have to recognize that there needs to be a different table. We're going to just get a bigger table, but I applaud you for your efforts in doing that. That's great.
Thank you, Willa. But we need to change the individuals don't need to change. The table needs to change. Yep. That's the big thing. Maybe it gets bigger. Maybe it changes. Maybe it stays the same, but it moves. But that's the goal.
Yep. Caroline, you've been very clear with that ever since you came to our organization. And I commend you so much, not just for saying it and bringing it to our attention, but you're taking action. There is planning involved, and it's thoughtful and purposeful planning. And I'm so proud of the organization for that. So thank you. Mecca, I wanted to turn it to you because you volunteer with us so very much. And, you know the women, our women they come from every walk of life, every organization type. We've got, just about everybody that you can imagine is part of our sisterhood, which is really exciting. And they all come to us for different reasons in different stages of their journey. I would say that some of our volunteers come to us at different stages in their journey. And I wanted to ask you, because I know, enough, that we've worked together long enough. What other reasons besides coming to Dress for Success and the feel-good moment of volunteering, what other reasons do people volunteer? What do you get out of it? Like people talk about what's in it for me. What else can you get from volunteering? What do you get?
So there are a myriad of reasons, and it's a list that cannot be exhausted. And Deneen already touched on a couple of them. People who are in transition, they're between jobs. It's a good way to keep current. That's something that they can put on their resume to beef it up. They can learn new skills. They can keep current with skills that they already know. Some people look to explore a different area. They can find their passion. They can find their purpose. They can explore new interests. Lorraine, was in the boutique, there's stylists who come in. It's like, oh, I didn't know you had that much style. That can transition into something else. They get to make a difference. You come to Dress for Success, there's a whole network of women that you would not have otherwise known, because when you go to ShopRite, especially now, you're not stopping to have a conversation with anybody. In, out, goodbye.
That's right.
In some cases, depending on which organization you decide to volunteer with, there may even be some travel involved. If somebody decides to go with the Peace Corps or wherever, you get to feel involved in something that's bigger than yourself. You have a sense of community. You contribute to a cause that you actually care about or will end up caring about once you get in there.
Right.
You get an opportunity to get out of the house. Because some people, when they stay in the house too long, the four walls start closing in and can't deal with it. You make new friends. You have a sisterhood of people that you can say, oh my God, like Elaine came on. It's like, oh, there's Elaine. I haven't seen Elaine in forever, but I'm so happy to see Elaine on the call. I see Denise smiling, and it's an awesome, awesome feeling. And to just round it out, volunteering allows you to be a humble learner without having any assumptions of what you're going into or having any predetermined solutions to what you're going to be facing.
Excellent. Excellent point. Thank you, Mecca.
Yeah, that you hit my heart with that one, Mecca. That's right. And
Yep.
so,
I love that. Yeah.
That's so on point. So Deneen, let me ask you this question.
Oh boy.
You and I kind of travel in the same kind of circles of volunteering and the humbleness and the servitude that goes along with it. What does somebody say, okay, do I volunteer with the animal shelters? Do I volunteer with Dress for Success? Do I volunteer at the hospital? If women are on this call are thinking about volunteering, and we want them naturally to volunteer at Dress for Success, but what do they need to think about, okay, before they decide to volunteer?
That's a great question. I would say that they need to think about what they want to give and what, if anything, they want to get. So if they're thinking about what they want to give, they need to think about who's going to be the beneficiary of their energies, their efforts, their talents, their connections, their money. By the way, I think we don't ask our volunteers enough for money, so y'all need to just like cough up at the end of this session. But yeah, I'm always plugging. Always, once a former board member, always. But you need to think about what is it that you have to offer. And if also on the flip side, you're looking for something, you need to be very clear about what you want to get from it. Do you want to develop a new skill? Do you want to build out your network? What is it that you want to gain at the end of that experience? And you should write a plan for it, just like if you're in your job. And I think that is the biggest challenge with nonprofits, is that there are a lot of times when people come to nonprofits with no plans, no goals, no concepts. They just have a free 3 hours and they want to do something. And it's a drain on the nonprofit because we have to figure out what to do with you. And you may not be happy, right? So I think people who are thinking about volunteering somewhere need to treat it like they're looking for a new job that they will never get a paycheck from. They need to figure out what they have to offer, and they need to think about what they want to gain from the experience.
Excellent. Thank you, Deneen. Will and I were just having a conversation today about, we often get people that want to volunteer, and like you said, without a plan. And then we tell them what we need. And then, yeah, that's great, but I want to do this. And it's not what we need. And so, like you said, like when, as an organization, it's very hard for us to then figure out where to plug them in and what to do with them, because we don't want to turn people away and we don't want to discourage them. But at the same time, it's really hard if people don't come at it and with thought and with purpose. So that's great advice.
You know, I will say though, as someone who used to do the orientation, I did turn people away because we would get those people who had no plan and no clue. And I was like, this is going to cost us more energy and time and commitment trying to, you know, train them and move them through the different programs for us to find a fit for them, you
Right.
know, when there's no guarantee. So I have no problem firing volunteers, and I have no problem turning them away because, you know, this is not an organization, at least for Dress for Success, this is not an organization of 20 employees.
Right.
So, you know, your time is precious, and you really need volunteers who you can just sort of shine off, you know, and send in a direction and let them run.
Right.
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 You know, the other thing about that too, to your point, Deneen, is the fact that, and I know with the STEPS program, you want the volunteer to feel good, that they feel good about what they're doing and that they're contributing. So you don't want to set them up to fail in the role that you're giving them. And we sure want to make sure that the client has the best support that they possibly can have. So you want to create those win-wins.
Right.
Yeah.
And to that point, Willa, like we're not goofing around here. Like we're dealing with people's careers, jobs, next steps. You know, like it is serious. It's serious, and so we want individuals coming in, and I think we have lots of volunteers who can do this, where we're actively working with these with our clients and our members to be able to get to that next step. And because you know, in all my interviews, like what I love hearing is it's been life-changing. It has shifted my world. It has brought me to that next level, empowerment, confidence. And so, Deneen, to your point, we want people in our circle who are lifting people up, right? And like you said, that we're not having to lift them up just to get there. So it is, to be a volunteer here, we want exceptional people, because it's an exceptional job that you guys are doing.
It's true. Thanks for bringing that up, Caroline. The work is life-changing. And I think going at it like it's a job, because to be invited into someone's journey is not something you take lightly. And you know, you can't mess up. There's no room for error. There's no room to test out your new skill set you're trying to gain on somebody else. And there's no room for that. So, you know, and I think, and that's not to say that we don't have opportunities for more simple, less intense work. You know, there are opportunities for things like that. But when you work with somebody to work on their life journey, you really have to come at it with your whole heart. So it's a good points, guys. Caroline, I'm going to talk with you a little bit about servant leadership and what that concept means. And really, it's a philosophy in which the main goal of the leader is simply that, to serve. And, you know, not about being boss or, you know, the big cheese or whatever. And so I wanted to ask what your vision was as board president for Dress for Success under the model of servant leadership.
Thank you, Kim. It's interesting. It's a new concept to me, but it's an old concept to me because it has been how I've worked my entire life. When I was interviewing and working with the board, I was asked numerous times, how would I come in? How would I work with the group? What would that look like? And my style was always, I come together, I understand views, I absorb the community, the organization, the mission, and then we come together and we push forward. Servant leadership is that. It's not for everybody, but it is where we are as in the world right now. It's how we're moving forward. And it really is kind of not one view is the final view. It is really how we are organically moving and shifting and developing together. And I think particularly for Dress for Success, and Kim and I talk about this constantly, as well as with the board and Willa, like we are at a precipice of opportunity. The pandemic, for all of its horrible things, and we're all at the hopefully at the end of it, and we're all tired, let me tell you. I am hiding from my family. Like I'm in here hiding right now from my three sons and my husband. Like it's exhausting, and we need to accept and acknowledge that. But it is offered us a lot, particularly for Dress for Success on a virtual level. Our ability to access women in all of our 10 counties has been surprising. Things that we thought would be barriers, like that they couldn't get access or they didn't have computers, actually wasn't, because they had their kids had computers at home. And that we're right now really kind of understanding, how do we evolve that, move that forward? So how does that get back to servant leadership? It really is about talking to the community about what they want, what they need, where Kim sees with all the program directors and Willa being one of the key ones, where we need to go. And then how do we drive that forward? And I don't think we're going to see enormous change. I think what we're going to see is leveraging the really great programs we already have in multiple ways, virtually, in person, and going out to these others. So servant leadership is really listening, consolidating, and really pushing forward and getting our organization around fundraising towards that. So that's what we're excited about.
Yeah. Yep. Excellent.
Wow. And we did this in 45 minutes. I don't believe it.
I know, when we get together, we get chatty.
We're getting good at this, Kim.
I know.
We've got enough time to ask questions, right?
Excellent. Thank you. We'll open it up if anyone has any questions.
Hence, don't be shy.
Or if you want to share volunteer experiences you've had in the past or with other organizations as well.
All right, Elaine. Elaine has her hand up.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say that you were talking about you've done so much in 45 minutes. It has been so dense. What has been shared in this, what has been shared is just amazing and refreshing and empowering. I think people who didn't come are missing out because, again, this has been another powerful session that has lifted me up another level, and I needed a lift today.
All right.
So, I needed a lift, and this has, I don't know. Again, it's been, as SS has been for me, it's just been, pivotal in my journey, I guess in this stage of my life. I wish I had this 20 years ago, but I'm thankful and blessed I have it now. So thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you, Elaine.
Yeah, we try to put in a lot of information in a short amount of time, and you're right, it is dense. But I think when you talk about service to others and service above self, it does make you feel good, and that's really why we love our volunteers so much.
That's why I won't leave.
Absolutely. We're not letting you leave.
And I could say that coming into the organization, I knew about Dress for Success, like Deneen, buy a suit, give away a suit. But when you are working with these women and they are trusting you with their lives and their livelihood, and to get the call, I got the job. Get the call, I got the promotion. Get the job, I asked for a raise. Or they tell me, when you talk to Coach Deneen, tell her I put my big girl hat on and I went out and I asked for that benefit, and they gave it to me. There isn't a price you can put on any of that. And that's what I think, going back to whatever you volunteer for, it needs to give you that feeling inside that you know you are making a difference and that you are working within your purpose to make a difference and leaving a legacy, not for family, because your family's going to get one, but it's the seeds that you plant outside of your family that you can't put a price on. I just absolutely, I love this organization because of that opportunity to do that. I think we got somebody's hands raised. Nye Jones.
Well, it's about, sorry, I'll let you go to the next person, but it's about your legacy and who you lift up, you know,
That's right.
beyond
At the end of the day, that's all that matters.
that. But go to the next.
Okay.
Nye, I think.
Yes, I just would like to say that all of you women have really inspired me today. And I would just like to ask, I think it's Mecca Adams, what inspires you to do the work that you're doing?
Your mic.
Thank you. Thank you for that question, Nye. And what inspires me to serve are those success stories, those that have already been told and those that are yet to be achieved.
Wow, you know, the intent and the outcomes are really powerful. So just thank you for that. I was having a down moment today, and, you know, just what was shared today really lifted me up. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. You know, and that you're right, Mecca. It's the stories that are told and that have yet to be told. And for every woman that we serve, you know, and our women, it's any woman. It doesn't matter where you're coming from, how much you make, what you've got. If you're a woman who needs support and a sisterhood behind you, we're that organization. And I love the stories. I don't think I've made it a week without crying. And, you know, you're going to get me going now because I immediately think of those stories. And when you realize it, you know, when you put your pillow, you know, you lay your head on the pillow at night, you know, and you think about what you've achieved during the day. And when you know somebody is counting their blessings because of something that you did or you said, that there's no greater gift. And you do that for people, Mecca. You know, you're very supportive of all our sisterhood.
I remember when Mecca came into the program and was listening to me during the workshop, and she was giving me these side eyes. It's like, is she really going to be putting me to work for 10 weeks? And now she's been here and she won't leave, right?
Yeah, she's been here years.
Expect to have on your Mecca? I think
Elaine?
another hand, Catherine.
Yes, hi. I just wanted to share my experience. I work for Bear, for those that don't know me. And same thing with me, that I found out about the program through the suit donations. And as an employee at Bear, we had a women's empowerment group, and they used to have Saturday morning, or excuse me, breakfast meetings. And I asked the director of that program, hey, can I do a Dress for Success clothing drive? And she said, sure, if you run it. Well, I had somebody from our Chicago office come in and bring clothing with them so they could donate. And I turned out to be the Dress for Success woman. Anybody that said, we want to donate clothing, talk to Catherine. But what I really want to say is that my boss saw my passion for this organization. And with that, he was on the Bear Foundation. And he made it a point, I saw his notes within our foundation committee meeting, Dress for Success. And he was able to get the ball rolling so that Bear could make donations and grants to Dress for Success. So he knows how important this organization is to me. And plus, Bear gives us 16 hours a year volunteer. It's a wonderful organization. We touch every subject that you've spoken about diversity, about inclusion, about excuse me, unconscious bias. We cover it all. So I'm very grateful for Bear, and I'm also very, very grateful for this program as well. And I can't say enough about it. I love this program. I love Will. I love all the women. I love Mecca, and I can't wait to go forward with everybody.
We
Thank
love
you.
you back,
Love
Catherine.
you back. That's right.
Somebody else's hand up?
Elaine is up.
Elaine, you have your hand up?
All right, yeah, I just wanted to say for Mecca, Ms. Mecca, I remember back in 2018 when we first connected, and she brought up about financial literacy. And I'm just so proud for her that she brought that to fruition. So I just, just wanted to point out how focused she has been in delivering for the women that she has supported and for the organization. And I will now be quiet.
Oh,
All right.
thank you, Elaine.
Thank you, Elaine. Liz Johnson, your hand is up.
Yes, it is. I just wanted to express, I met Willa years ago, and she introduced me to Kim. There was a panel at ADP, and I actually got to meet women that Willa and Kim were helping find jobs. There were women in different transitions. And, one thing for me that I learned, I think all of us have been through different transitions and we try to figure things out. And I've always loved mentoring people because you don't know what you don't know. For example, it wasn't until I became an executive in pharmaceuticals that I learned how women were not getting paid. Same job, were not getting paid the way men were getting paid. So I made it my business to give something that's called equity adjustments to make it fair. But if I didn't have those roles, like you don't know, you think you're getting paid well. So I think that it's so empowering that we are talking to women so that they have the seat at the table, that they have a voice. Because sometimes, we think that we're not being heard, but as the other lady expressed, you're sitting around the wrong table with people that are not hearing you. So I want to say that this evening is very inspirational. I told Willa every time I am in one of these seminars for Dress for Success, it's so therapeutic and it's so calming because there's so many things that are going on that to come to something like this on a rainy Thursday is absolutely amazing. And I want to thank the ladies that were on the panel. They said so many things that women need to hear these things. So I want to thank you, Willa, for inviting me to this, and Kim, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, you'll be with us as our panel in September.
That's right.
Yes, and we have two others guests that are coming in May and June. We plan to keep it hopping and popping.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you,
I'm
guys.
all in. Thank
Yep.
you.
We're really excited. Next month, we're going to be talking about allyship for the Asian American community, especially highlighting everything that is being brought to the news these days. We can't ignore that. And we've got an awesome panel that's going to be joining us to share their experiences with us and have some real, some deep conversation about it. And I'm really excited about that. So
How to be allies.
How to be
You have to be that ally, that advocate, that ambassador, that accomplice to stop the xenophobia, stop the racism, stop the bias. It's like volunteerism. It's a big elephant to bite, but if we can do something in our own corner of the world and brighten the corner where we are and increase the level of education and understanding, then we've done our job.
Yep. So does anyone else have any questions? If not, I think we're going to bring it to a close.
Any closing comments or anybody? Let me go to
I
the.
only had one closing comment, and I just want to say thank you. Thank you to Willa.
Hi,
My
Kelly.
name is Kelly Combat, and this is, I think, my second or third meeting.
She's our
I'm
coach
just,
in step.
yeah, I'm happy to provide all of my experience in coaching, and I'm coming from organizations like Ford Motor, L'Oreal, Volvo, and it's funny. It's like, when you're the only person who has the seat at the table, it's really difficult and it's lonely. And so, to Liz's point, +1 +1, Liz, and everybody, Mecca, everybody, and some of you I'm meeting for the first time virtually. I just think that it's so heartening to see that, Willa brought me in, and I was so happy to help in any way that I can. I think, Willa, I checked every box for whatever
I got you doing every box too.
I got every box. I'm just happy to help, and I just want to say thank you to you all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, that's the thing. As Deneen had said earlier, when we were talking about skills, and I looked at the skills, I looked at the resume, I looked at her on LinkedIn. I'm like, okay, let me call her now. Because I knew. Thank you, Kelly, for your support. Appreciate that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody. Our volunteers are why we can do what we do. And when we give a little piece of ourselves, we are making the world a little brighter for the women that we serve. And I thank you for giving us the opportunity to be a part of that and to work with you. And I hope those of you who aren't volunteering with us yet, that maybe you will consider us or consider volunteering with another organization where you can make a difference in someone's life. So that's all I have for tonight. If you're good, Willa, I think that's it.
I think I'm good.
All right.
I think I'm good. Good night, ladies. See you next
Thanks,
month.
ladies.
Good night. We'll see you next month. Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.